Hi, welcome to Timeshare Solution or Surrender. It looks like our producer Mark has joined us, but his screen is black right now. Um, Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just checking in on you. I know you got everything under control. It's always amazing when we have you doing your amazing advocacy work. So I'm looking forward to hearing from the rest of the advocates as well. But you're always doing amazing things. But I was just coming in as a producer, checking in on you. But I know that you've got everything under control, and this is much needed advocacy work that you're doing.
Well, and I didn't know if I had everything under control. I was terrified. There was this little button to the right that said go live, and I'm like, oh. So now I know in an emergency I can do that. But we're
Yes.
pleased to have actually six guests on today. One guest will be joining us at about 10 after 1. And we are going to start. I'm going to start by introducing our TARTA board president, Sheila in New York, upstate New York, where it's quite cold today. And
Yeah.
and we have Mohammed is going to join us about 10 after. So I wanted to introduce our Club Exploria owners first. And so I'm going to add to the show Iris. And Iris, you're a Pennsylvania resident, correct?
Correct.
Yes, okay. And then we also have our board member, another board member, Sherida. And I'm sure I'll be mixing up the names a couple of times during the show. But Sherida is not only trying to improve the policies of Vacation Village and Great Eastern, but she also turned lemons into lemonade by getting her Florida real estate license. And she works exclusively in Marriott resales and rentals, maybe a few Disney here and there. And that also, Marriott also owns Hyatt and Sheraton and Welk. So welcome, Sherida. And I'm going to bring on stage here Dennis in what state, Dennis?
Indiana.
You're in Indiana.
Yes.
That's correct. Okay. All right, that was Mark, I think, calling me when I had called him. So number one on the agenda, let me put my phone on voicemail. Okay, so I'm going to start with a rundown of a few of the families that reached out to us since January 1. And actually, the first was on January 2nd. 56 families have reached out since January 1. And of those, and since December 1, right at 25 of those families are Vacation Village. Emotions range from frustrated to angry, and a few, maybe more than a few, desperation, especially with people that are battling medical issues. And on January 2nd, I was really shocked that 3 of the people that reached out worked for the VA, or one worked for a for-profit that helps VA veterans get benefits. One of them paid $8,500 to a questionable law firm in Missouri. And I know the name of this law firm because about 6 months to a year ago, someone reached out and someone was demanding money. And when we did a public record search, he had spent 18 months in a federal facility for falsifying tax returns. So of the 56 families, 2 Vacation Village owners, and they called in the same day, contacted TARTA in the same day. They're both active duty. And if you default on a loan, your security clearance is in jeopardy. And then we also had another Vacation Village veteran who injured his back jumping out of airplanes in the military, and he can't drive more than 40 miles round trip. Then we had people will post on Facebook once in a while, should I file for bankruptcy on a loan for, and this is the second time I've heard of this, and this was just a week or two ago. This person filed for bankruptcy 7 years ago, and he just received a maintenance fee bill for 7 years. So the bankruptcy wiped out the loan, but not use, if it's likely can become an abandoned asset, as an attorney explained. And so it's not liquidated, and after 7 years you find out you still own it. So I put her in touch with Eric Ridley, an attorney in California. He practices, I think, in California and New York, and he's not a timeshare attorney. He's a debt collections type of an attorney, and he was able to help her resolve that. We had a couple good outcomes. One person called me, and I was shocked because she called her resort. It was one of the big ones, and they said someone from the sales department would call her. They never did, but she got a call from the legal department, and they took back her timeshare. And then also, when we talk about Vacation Village, Great Eastern, Club Exploria, it often takes a battle, but they will take back a week if there's very debilitating documented medical hardship. So the veteran I talked about, that could only drive 40 miles a day, I always asked, did you reach out to the resort? Yes, they said they wouldn't take it back. Did you tell them about your medical condition? No. So people don't even think to do that. We also had, since January 1, someone reached out, and one of the spouses is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so they won't be vacationing anymore. One person here's Mohammed. Awesome. Okay. Hi, Mohammed. I was just getting to you.
Hi, Irene, how are you?
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. So I was just going to finish up here with the other person. They had open heart surgery 2 weeks ago, and then the other person has stage 4 cancer, third, and and this was her third cancer diagnosis. She had lung cancer in 2019, and she contacted Vacation Village, and they said they would not take it back, and they had no medical hardship. And Sherida and Sheila and I, we all know that when push comes to shove, in a few cases they did. So Mohammed, I know you only have about 10 minutes and you have to get back to work. They think we're a bunch of dummies that don't know how to use our points. So could you give a little bit about your background? I believe yesterday you told me you're finishing your PhD in a medical discipline.
Actually. Yeah, I am preparing for my PhD in cancer biology and immunotherapy. And actually, I got trapped with Exploria who pressurized me to do payment again and to come back again to them. They are sending stupid emails, calls that they want me to finance again and to set up payment with them. And they told me that whatever we give you the agreement, you have to agree that. And they don't accept any letter. They don't accept that I send them letter of cancellation upon broker words at presentations. We can send like 20 days notice before the next bill. But unfortunately, they don't accept that, and they started to hit my credit score, me and my wife. Mine dropped like by 70 points, and my wife by 80 points.
Well, and you, just to repeat that, that you had asked during the presentation what would happen if I can't use it?
During the presentation, the broker confirmed many times that we can cancel at any time, just to give them notice by 20 days before the next bill, the next day of payment. But when I send it to her,
and it's one thing to say, oh yeah, you can sell it because you can,
But
but it's
now they
another
think
thing
that
to
they don't
say,
have that program.
no, but it's another thing to say, you have to call the department 20 days before your next loan payment. I mean, that's really deliberate
Yeah,
deception, allegation, we have to say. And
yeah.
so now the other thing we want to warn about is the oral representation clause. And we want to thank Timesharing Today magazine again for doing a public service announcement available on our advocacy page, where you agreed in your contract that you did not rely on anything a salesperson said to make your decision to
Actually,
purchase.
they are now monitoring it too that there was like 10 days uh, cancellation time at the beginning of signing up, but we weren't told at all about these 10 days during the presentation. They didn't mention to us at all.
Well, but the 10 days, they're not required to tell you about the 10 days.
Yes, but now they are saying that everything was in your contract and you are mature enough to read your contract.
But no, but that wouldn't help you because it wasn't until a year or two later that you
Yeah,
had a life
no,
change and
no, they
tried
don't.
to sell,
No, they don't.
you know.
No, they don't. They just said 20 days, and we're gonna take care of that. And don't worry about if you wanted to cancel or to stop your timeshare at any time. Although I didn't use my timeshare yet at all.
Well, and they would say that's not their problem, but the point, no pun intended, is that you reading the contract really wouldn't help you because you can sell it. There's hardly any market for it, but
Yeah,
the 10-day period didn't help you because it wasn't until a year or two later that you had your life changed to where
yeah,
you needed to sell it.
yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do. And the main thing we're trying to find a lawmaker, a state representative, to amend the Timeshare Act so the oral representation clause in which you agreed you did not rely on anything a sales agent said, instead of burying that in fine print, 80 pages of a contract, that should be disclosed at or prior to the presentation.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just logical. And a lobbyist I talked to said he didn't, that's the most reasonable thing he's taking to a lawmaker. Now, as far as the drop in the credit score, that Sheila, you've been talking to Mohammed,
Yes.
and what's the next step for him? Have you filed with the Florida Attorney General's office, Mohammed?
Yeah,
I already submitted
yeah.
dispute
We
with
have
the
some
county.
places for him to send a letter to and file with. And with the credit score, I believe he's right. He wrote up something and he was going to send it to the credit bureau just to attach it
I just
to his
submitted with
credit.
Equifax yesterday, and they told that they're gonna come back to me within 30 days. So I am waiting. I don't know what's going on, how the progress will be.
Was
Okay.
that with the Florida Attorney General?
I did with Florida Attorney General. I did with New York Attorney General. I submitted a dispute with Credit Bureau with Equifax yesterday. So I am
Yeah,
waiting about the progress.
right.
And by filing those reports and keeping them on file, and especially, I'd go ahead and file with the North Carolina Attorney General because that lawsuit really shows deception. And I read the lawsuit complaint where they're being sued for making illegal robocalls, accused allegations of making illegal robocalls where somebody would call you and say, "Hi, I'm TripAdvisor, AI, and I'm with Helping Hands organization, which is an organization that helps orphans." And all you have to do is stay at this Club Exploria resort and tell us what a great time you had. So we appreciate the attorney generals that seem to be pro-consumer. Nevada and Florida has seemed to protect the developers. And when I was manager of Senior versus Crime, which is a special project of the Florida Attorney General in Duval County, I actually emailed back the supervisor of DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. Now, one thing we haven't done before, and I didn't learn about this until Sharon and I got our real estate licenses in Florida, is you can file a complaint against your sales agent if you know who they are and get their license number, and the Florida Real Estate Commission, FREC, will follow up on that. But if you do want to borrow money in the future, and you're paying all your other bills. Last week we had 2 people defaulting, one on Holiday Inn and one on Hilton Grand Vacations. They reported that they had been deceived, and their credit score is coming back up again. And she actually worked with her employer before she defaulted, and it's working out. It's working out okay for her. Now, I've talked to you this whole time. How is your wife? What does your wife feel about how this is happening?
She regrets really. She is very sad. We understood together that we took wrong decision, that we signed with Exploria under their pressure while our vacation there. But we are approving together that we will not support these scammers and to be in their part against the victims. So whatever they're gonna do, like hurting our score or whatever, we will not again signing up with them or continue our timeshare. So we are
Okay.
sure about this decision.
Right, and
Okay.
we are just starting with Muhammad we were waiting to get his letter rewritten and stuff with you, Irene, and then we are, which you worked on yesterday, I know, and then we're going to send out to all the regulators.
Yeah, and we're not lawyers, so we don't really write the letters for you.
Well,
But
no,
we ask a lot of questions when you send us the report. Now, Iris, before Mohammed has to leave us, since you are also Club Exploria, and right 30 minutes before this show started, Tarda received family number 56, and it was the exact same thing, where it was a bait and switch, and reading the contract wouldn't have helped, and the rescission period wouldn't have helped. So let Mohammed and Sheila know a little bit about what that's about.
Yes, I signed up with Club Exploria. The salesperson that was working with me, she told me it was her first day working. So she depended upon her supervisor to come over and answer all my questions. When we stayed at the resort, this was Pocono Village Resort up in the Poconos. And when we stayed there, we were in a 2-bedroom split townhouse. And I have bad arthritis. I have trouble walking steps. So I told her I could never accept a unit like that. She took us to a brand new 3-bedroom unit, which with a first floor master, 2 bedrooms upstairs. She told me, quote unquote, "This is your unit." I also told her the reason I wanted the timeshare was my family goes on a family vacation every year. I have 6 grandchildren and 3 children with their spouses. So we needed a lot of room. So we came back. The supervisor told me, "Oh, you'll get 2 to 3 weeks. You can get the 3-bedroom units." I told him specifically right then and there I needed it for the July 4th week. They told me, "Fine, no problem." I signed up for everything. I read through the contract. I had 10 days for rescission. It only said points. When we were also sitting with the sales rep, she kept going on the website and showing me, "Oh, you can get this with your points. You can get this with your points." And I was also told that at the height, like the July 4th week, the max points would be 45 points a unit. My 10 days were up. Before I was even set up, 2 weeks later, I called to make reservations for July 4th week. I was told you're not even set up yet, but your unit, 172 expos is what they call them at Club Exploria. Your expos only cover 1 2-bedroom unit every other year.
Now let me just clarify that the reason that would not be in the contract is when you're signing the contract, they may give you a booklet of all their resorts, but supply and demand cannot be checked until you have access to the booking site. And so when did you buy and when did you have access to the booking site?
The date I bought was November, I forgot the exact
16,
date.
November 16.
And I didn't have, and 2 weeks after that, which was right after Thanksgiving holiday, I called to ask to reserve already on July 4th week. And I think it was December 2nd is when I called. And that's when I was told that, no, I was not available. I can only get 1 2-bedroom unit. And I texted my sales rep because I do have her cell phone. And I said, what's going on? And she goes, and I have text from her agreeing with me. Yes, you were promised this, you were promised that. And so I said, this is useless to me. A week later, I asked to have her supervisor call me. No one ever called. I asked to have her vice president of sales, who I had met when I was there. His name is Will Dillon, to call me. Nobody called. So I went up there. My husband and I traveled back up there. I said, I know if I get there on a Saturday morning, they will be there. And she arranged for us to meet with him. He promised me, oh, I'll get you those 2 units. I needed 2 units minimum for this year, but I can't promise you what'll happen after this year. I went home that Monday. I confirmed everything with him. He told me it'll take a few weeks for me to confirm if he can do that for me. And I said, well, I still need to know what's going to happen after this year. And he never got back to me. And at that point, I said, I need to cancel. And that's when I reached out to Irene.
And you did you contact me directly through Facebook or go through Tarda?
Yeah, I got your information through Tarda, and that's where Facebook showed me the Tarda site, and that's where I reached out to you. I did send a cancellation letter to the finance department, who I also tried to call quite a few times, would never call me back. When I finally got a statement for my first payment, which was last week, I called the finance department, and I finally did get somebody who told me that they would not honor my cancellation request because it was after the 10 days.
And did you respond that the 10 days didn't help you?
Yes.
Would not have protected you. Yes.
Yes. And when I spoke to this person, which was on Thursday of last week, he told me he would have a supervisor call me back, and I still have not gotten a call back. I did also write a letter to the Attorney General in Pennsylvania because, yes, I know Club Exploria is in Florida, but I did sign my contract in Pennsylvania, so I thought that might still be able to work. I contacted them, and like I said, I've been writing to the sales rep and explaining and I did write to Will Dillon, who is the vice president of sales, who promised me that he would take care of everything. I did send him a copy of the cancellation letter.
Well, and I would not describe you, Iris, as one of our desperate callers. You have been empowered from the beginning. Is there something in your work background that provided those skills?
Yes, I'm a realtor, which was a double sword, because I told them if I would ever lie to a client, I would lose my real estate license.
If they could prove it.
Yeah, well, but no, not really. I think if I went before the real estate commission and I had a buyer that said, oh, they promised me that this was going to happen and this was going to happen. I mean, we do go through negotiation, and we do have an organization that would reimburse the buyer. There would be it would be hard for me to work. And not even that, but I work on reputation. I would not be in this field, and I would not be getting referrals all the time if that was, and my brokerage would not allow me to work with them if I lied like this.
And
I
same
mean,
thing with being a stockbroker. They don't blame everything on, they put the blame on the brokers, but in timeshare, they put all of the blame on the consumer. And now, and you mentioned Pennsylvania. Just because there's not a lot of timeshares in Pennsylvania, I know there's some in the Poconos. I just learned there's 2 timeshares in Iowa. Who would have thought? And so when typically it takes a lot of complaints, and the Attorney General will launch an investigation. In 2016 and 2017, over 1,000 Diamond Resorts members filed complaints with just the Arizona Attorney General. They investigated, they fined them $800,000, and they issued an assurance of discontinuance. But that doesn't mean in Florida, when I talked, and Sheila, you've been back and forth with the same supervisor at DBPR, and he said, well, all we can do is send your complaint to the company, and what usually happens is the company sends back the contract and says all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And that oral representation clause, it's in other contracts, but as one of an attorney that Sheila and Sharon and I know, he calls it the license to lie, where it's overworked in timeshare contracts. So, Iris, now, when did you stop making payments?
Well, the first thing I did was cancel my credit card. When I was there, I set it up for automatic debit on my credit card.
Good.
I called my bank and I canceled the credit card. So when I did speak to finance last Thursday, they did note that, oh, you have to set up a new way or you have to send in a payment. I go, you're not going to get it from me. And I also set up a dispute with my credit card company for the deposit that I gave.
Okay, now at this junction, even if I tell this on every show, I'm going to tell it. I think it was just amazing. My ICE agent story, that the collection agent would call him at work and he'd say, oh, I'm so glad that you called. Can you call me at 7 o'clock tonight? Because I'm going to need at least an hour, and would try to keep, and he really wanted him to call him. And no one ever tells a collection agent, I'm really glad you called, because he had all of those complaints from the Arizona Attorney General and he wanted to go over those. And then when you post on Facebook, you're preaching to the choir, but on LinkedIn is where the executives and the sales agents are. So I sent Sheila a LinkedIn where the Club Exploria sales agents we made $600,000 in sales this month. And he would come home, and one time he called me and he said, I had a bad day at work. So when I got home, I sent 50 tweets to the executives, and they would post something wonderful about their golf tournament, and he'd be firing back on LinkedIn. And after 18 months, they just called him and canceled his loan, I guess, turning the predator into the prey. So if you're in the mood, now what I've been doing with exit companies is, it happened twice this week, where exit company called me and, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I'm with, what is your name? What is your name? And I make them spell the name. And then they said, and I am calling about your timeshare. What is the name of your company? Well, I'm calling about your timeshare. What is the name of your company? And then it's usually something like Consulting Corporate Netmark. They all sound alike. And then it's like, well, who owns the company? And then click, and I tell you that the scams that are out there on exit companies are exploding. And as stressful as this is, getting so many people reaching out, every time, someone contacts us, they're not being harmed by an exit company. Now, okay, let's move on and thank you so much for that, Iris. That was a great report. Let's move on to Vacation Village. Sheila, give us a 3-minute rundown on, to repeat again, you actually have, I feel, a form of proof. Sharon, I'll never get it straight.
I laugh at it. I'm looking at Sheridan's face.
Yeah,
am I
so
am I S1 or S2?
we'll have to take a vote on that afterwards.
Yeah.
But give us a rundown on the nightmare that you experienced at the colonies, which is Vacation Village.
In 2019, we went to colonies at Williamsburg, and we went to a presentation, and our sales agent, Jackie, told us, well, we told her, well, we have a Westgate that we have a Westgate. We can't afford to get a colonies. She told us, quote, I can't tell you this, but I have a friend who can sell your Westgate so that you can pay for your colonies. So being that we are trusting people, we trusted her, so we signed up with the realtor, and he listed our
Actually, I don't believe they are a realtor. I think it was VSI, Vacation Services International, and when I looked them up, they're a listing agent.
A listing agent, that makes sense. So anyway, he listed our Westgate for $38,000, and he also said that he could list our bonus weeks with colonies to pay for maintenance fees. Well, long story short, nothing ever came of it, and so we're stuck with both timeshares. We did pay off both of them because we didn't want the high interest rates, and so I've been writing them now for 2.5 years, every other week, reminding them of this bait and switch tactic. And I include lawmakers in that. And now I also include the Berkeley group that manages it. And now the new group that is managing, that is taken over with from the Berkeley group and daily management.
Well, and I sent you one really excellent forum for timeshare members is Timeshare Users Group. Sheila sends me their newsletters. I know I am on some of their, I read some of their forums, and they have a thread on, pronounce it for me because I know I was pronouncing it wrong.
It's Vacatia. Vacation.
Vacatia. Okay, and not to be confused with Vacasa, which is kind of an Airbnb. We had a bad experience with Vacasa. Didn't even know we had rented something in Hawaii through them, and it was right in the middle of the Maui fires. So they, when I was looking at them, they do not charge an upfront fee to list. And on that tug forum, they actually mentioned there that one person, their maintenance fees are $250 more because of the delinquencies. So they become sinking ships, that as more and more people default, then companies like Lemon Juice Solutions will come in, and the buzzword in the industry is repurpose. Now, I found a link to In Season Resort in Massachusetts, and that's on a tug forum as well. They have a exit program, and I just don't understand. Now, Dennis, go ahead and tell us when you first became involved with Vacation Village, what you bought, and what led to your wanting to seek release.
Yeah, we purchased in November of 2002, originally at Vacation Village at Weston. A few years later, we paid it off. We transferred to Vacation Village in Parkway in Orlando, and that's where we currently own. We used it while my daughter was in school. She's graduated now and in college, and mom and dad aren't so cool, so she doesn't want to go on vacations with us any longer. So, I mean, it seems my biggest complaint right now is every time I do try to use it, there's never anything available where we intend on vacationing, and it's just I just get no value out of it at this point. So I decided towards the end of last year I was going to start investigating how to get rid of it. I did talk to a company called Trade Block. I think they were mainly a credit protection agency, but they
No,
recently
no,
have
wait. Oh boy. Next week we have someone that attended a trade block presentation. She almost paid them $8,900.
Yeah.
And she is going to report on all the notes. She took very good notes. And they actually suggested to the people attending that they do this research. And they mentioned a timeshare law from 1992 that was very detrimental to timeshare buyers. So number one, when she conducted the research, they suggested she found us. And number two, she found the Timeshare Act of 1992. It was in England. It was in England, and just like a timeshare sales agent, many timeshares, not all, your heirs are going to be responsible. They're going to inherit the timeshare, but that's only half the story. The most important half is all 50 states have laws that allow you to disclaim the inheritance within a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, don't let me go there. That's for next week's show.
Okay.
So you started inquiring about exits the beginning of 2024 or 2023?
Towards the end of last year, I decided to seriously try to start looking how to exit the timeshare. So really towards the end of last year. And like I said,
in addition to Trade Block, did you make any other inquiries?
No, that was about it. I pretty much feel like all the exit companies are as bad as the timeshare companies. So I was a little leery about even using Trade Block, and I did start doing some research, and that's where I found a lot of complaints about them. During that research is when I came across TARDA, and then I reached out to you through TARDA.
Yes, and now if you were calling this time of last year, the beginning of 2024, we would, just like Westgate, the licensed brokers will not accept a listing for Vacation Village or Westgate, but Westgate's a headache to work with, I'm told. But Fidelity Real Estate, you can list with them with no upfront charge for 365 days is the agreement, like a traditional real estate agent, like Sherida, not Sheila, you would pay at closing.
Okay.
So, but you have not paid 2025 maintenance fees, correct?
That is correct. Yes. My intent was to just not pay them and see what happens.
Would you, now that you know that Vacacia, and again, the organizational chart here is the Berkeley Group is the developer of Vacation Village and Great Eastern. DM Management is the management company. That's who you pay your maintenance fees to.
Right.
Okay, so have you just kind of so fed up that you don't want to consider paying 2025 fees to listed to give Vacacia? How do you say it again, Sherida?
Vacacia.
Vacation. I've been saying it wrong for so long. It's going to be a long time before I can say it right. I'll have to have you on the show every time we talk about it. So do you and your wife, are you would you consider that, or have you just had it?
Well, I would pay them. I mean, what would be the odds of paying them and listing it and actually being able to get rid of it? It seems like the chances of that are nearly zero from everything I've read, but.
Well, and Sherida, you can answer that question better than I can. You're kind of on top of the resales and rentals with Marriott.
Yeah,
what's your opinion?
Marriott and Disney are pretty good resorts to resell. I guess the rest are junk. That's my personal opinion.
But even with Marriott, you don't accept listings for all of them. You try to find their most prime locations, correct?
We haven't really gotten any interest or any clients calling us with anything that's out there. It's usually the more common ones.
Well, Harborside, you don't really want to accept a
No.
listing for Marriott Harborside?
Well, we have one, but yeah, that's kind of out there, and that's a tough one to rent and sell.
Because the maintenance fees have
Yeah.
increased $4,600, or even one person said $5,600. Okay, so and you have not paid. This is already 2 weeks in January. It's probably too early, Dennis. You haven't heard any collection
Right.
attempts or what have
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I haven't. I expect that won't happen until probably at least after the first or the end of January, most likely. It may, I don't know how long it will take before they realize I haven't paid them, but I think I have until the end of January. But
Well, and members supporting members is really a powerful force. And so there was someone launched the Facebook group started out unhappy Massanutten owners. So I reached out to the admin and I said, could you change the name to Vacation Village Massanutten? Because more people are going to find it if they're looking for Vacation Village.
yeah.
And so then I got an invitation to be an admin, and I accepted it, and the person that launched it left. So I asked Sherida to be an admin of that as well. But one of the original members of that group, she stopped paying her Vacation Village at Massanutten. She stopped paying her maintenance fees 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And she got a couple of calls in the beginning, but she said they just automatically anyway block all unknown callers. And then she got some correspondence, but she hasn't heard anything for the last 2 years. So TUG, Timeshare Users Group, maintains a forum of consequences to defaulting on a loan, consequences to defaulting on maintenance fees, and what happened. The worst I've heard is someone said their credit score went down 38 points.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of reasons that could make a credit score drop 38 points, and that's not really that much. Now,
Yeah, really.
we like to have people that have been on the show before do a follow-up, especially we're approaching, I cannot believe it, 1 year, February 26th, of episodes of Timeshare Solution or Surrender. So Iris, we had someone that defaulted on a Westgate loan. She stopped paying a year ago, and she called me. She was just devastated. She was calling bankruptcy attorneys, and I gave her my bankruptcy story. And then we had her on the show 6 months later, and I'm like, do you have a twin sister? She was so empowered. And that's what we want to do, is really turn despair into empowerment. So we'd love to have you 6 months from now. I stopped paying in December or January of 2024, 2025, and this is what has happened. And also hope that you pay it forward, and to support someone else in the future. Now, Sherida, tell us more about, if you buy a deed from Marriott, is it better? We want to do what we can to promote the secondary market as well. So that, is it better with Marriott to buy a deed on resale for those that still would like to buy a timeshare, or is it better to buy points? And what are the restrictions if you buy on the secondary market?
Well, in our business, Marriott is trying to turn all the legacy weeks into points. So if you can get a deed for a legacy week, that's a good thing. And usually what happens when people want to buy through us, I have to send all the paperwork that the owner for the owner wants to get rid of, say, a legacy week or points. And I have to send the paperwork that he signs and the paperwork that the buyer signs, and I have to send it all to Marriott because they have right of first refusal, so they can decide if they want to buy it first or if the customer wants it. So
Well, and also Marriott allows you to rent your points to someone else, and if you if you go to eBay and you rent your points, is that allowed?
on eBay, I've never heard about doing it on eBay.
Well, let's say Red Week or Timeshare Users Group.
Yeah, you can take your points, you can book something, and you can put it on Red Week. Yes.
Okay, and I worked in Marriott resales and rentals for about 2 months. I almost lost my mind, and with on top of people calling me, it was just there's no way I could do that. But I learned that, and just last night we had someone very angry call us. This is Blue Green has suspended hundreds of accounts for renting and accusing them of commercial activity, despite all the people reporting that it was a sales agent that told them to buy points to rent to offset their maintenance fees. So Iris and Dennis, if you don't like your timeshare, but you like the resorts, then you can rent through we have 3 providers besides Sherda. If you want to rent Marriott, we've had on our show Koala, and Sherda, you've had a lot of experience with Koala.
Yes.
They helped you rent, and so what you're doing is you're helping somebody else to pay their maintenance fees, and you can still rent these resorts, and then we have in addition, and then we have Suites Vacation. I think it's Suites Vacation, not Vacation Suites. The same Timesharing Today magazine that produced our public service announcement. I think they've recently launched a new platform. And then we had Joe Takis on our show. He has Volqua, and we had Jessica O'Daniel. She is in Red Bud, Oklahoma, which Oklahoma is not a real hotbed for timeshare, but her father has spent 30 years in Florida in resales. And we had someone reach out to Tarda, and he had a timeshare that he had listed with her, and then the resort said they would take it back for a $1,200 fee. And she called him in 90 minutes and said, we have a buyer and they will pay the maintenance fees for 2025, whereas you would have to. And he thought she was some kind of a scam. And I was able to say, no, there's a few shining lights in our industry, and Jessica is one. And I got an email back that he talked to her, and I think the outcome was, rather than gamble on a deal that could fall apart, if they're going to take it back for $1,200, that's a sure thing. Go ahead and do it. So, Sheila, let me just go back to you now. We've been interacting since 2016, I think. Do we go back that far?
Yes, we
Yes.
do.
Okay. Now, we spent an hour on the phone this morning going over the report that you wrote for Club Exploria. And
Yes.
can you remember the list of some of the people and agencies you're going to send that report to?
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to send it to the Attorney General in Florida. I'm going to send it to the North Carolina Attorney General, and I'm going to send it to the New York State Attorney General. I have, this is my second report to send to Exploria. I'm also going to send it to their homeowners association. I'm going to send it to Art of Rock. And
Wait a minute,
let's
that's
see.
something we forgot to talk about. Okay,
Oh,
another
okay.
thing to beware are the listing agencies like Sell My Timeshare Now and Timeshares Only,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is recommended by Club Exploria and ARDA. Tell us your experience with that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's who the first time when they refused to take my timeshare, they said to either give it to a family member or a friend, or I could reach out to Timeshares Only. And it's a company that is supposedly a real estate group. And I got a hold of Nelson, and we talked, and he said he could list my timeshare, and it would be around $800 to pay the 800 to wait a minute, 800 to $1,400. That not 1,400, $14,000, 11,000 to $14,000 to be able to sell my timeshare for. That's Exploria on Daytona Beach, and it would cost me probably around $800 to pay them to do this. And I asked him. I said, are you a licensed real estate broker? And he said, no, I just take the information down.
Well,
And
first
I
of all,
said, oh,
that's a violation of Florida
yeah,
law that shared, if we remember our exam that we went through on the buddy system, it's against the law for an unlicensed person to suggest a listing price. So did you throw out a price and he said, yeah, that sounds like a good price, or did he actually suggest that price? Which is,
no,
he
he
suggested it.
suggested that price because I asked him what he thought he could sell my timeshare for.
Okay, and now that
And
there's
he,
tons of ads on Red Week for, a dollar, $300, $500, another thing that Sherida could lose her license for is if she exaggerates a listing
yeah,
price. Yeah,
yeah.
so
So I told him, I said, I have to talk to my husband because I wanted to get off of the phone with him. And so he kept calling me back and he'd email me, and I ignored him. But we had the guy that runs Tug, um, and you join Tug, and it's like $15 a year, and they have good information on there. They send it. That's what Irene was saying. I send mine sometimes to her, and you list on there for free. And they keep it on there for a certain amount of time, and then they usually say it's the ending. Do you want to relist it? So it's always free, and I have mine on there for free.
Yeah.
And I've done it 3 times now. And I didn't go with Red Week because I think they want quite a bit of money to do that, to list your timeshare.
I think
And
it's $25 to join and $59 to list.
oh, is that what it
Yeah.
is? I
Yeah.
thought it was more than that. So, yeah, so I just listed it for free. I knew nobody was going to buy the thing, so I'm not going to
Right.
pay, you know,
But
for them
But at
to
least
list it.
when you can answer when they say find a buyer, you can say I
Yeah,
listed it, and
yeah.
Dennis, it might be worth $15 to
Yeah.
join, and
Yeah.
like
Oh, yes.
Sherida may not accept a listing if the fees aren't current, but I would think you could list it on Tug without the fees being current, and then just provide the carrot that if somebody buys it, you'll pay the 2025
Yeah.
fees
Okay.
Yeah.
and they can still use it. Whereas Sherida, if I remember, the fees have to be current if I paid the fees in 2025, but if you find a buyer, then the buyer reimburses me for the maintenance fees. Is that how that works?
Yeah, it's kind of a discombobulated method, but eventually, if a buyer wants to use 2025, eventually that buyer will reimburse the seller for the maintenance fees for 2025.
Right. And what we want to do, the whole goal, one of the goals, in addition to promoting the secondary market, is to improve communication between members and owners. We make a distinction, non-deeded right to use points. You're a member like a gym club as opposed to a deeded owner week. And for instance, the veteran that can't drive more than 40 miles round trip, that he didn't even think to tell Vacation Village or Club Exploria. I kind of, even though they're completely different companies, they both have completely similar processes for that.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that Vacacia? No, okay, I'll never pronounce it right.
Vacation.
Wow.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
No, I've got you pronouncing.
I've got all the phonetics written down so I can see it.
Yeah, and on the Tug forum, it says they wonder if whatever it is that bought them is going to solve this problem, because it is just completely illogical. I mean, if you have a 4-bedroom home and the kids move out, you don't have to prove medical hardship to sell my house. And if I've heard of a more broken model, and I use Port Elsewhere in the Ozarks as an example, that I grew up in St. Louis and I loved going to Branson every year. We live in Florida. I don't want to vacation. Oh yeah, we had a board meeting and you bought this 30 years ago and you've been paying maintenance fees. We decided we're not going to hold you hostage. I'll send you a paper. I have nothing but wonderful memories of Port Elsewhere, instead of this agony from a product that's supposed to be wonderful. Now, it looks like we have 2.5 minutes left. So let's start with our owners in dispute. Iris, before you found Tarda, how did you find us? And did you make any other attempts to get help with your situation?
Well, not really. I saw it on Facebook, actually. And so the only other thing that I did was try and meet to resolve it with the vice president of sales when I went back up there on my own. When I got frustrated with that is when I reached out on Facebook to see, and I don't know how I came to the site, but they were the ones that constantly recommend getting in touch with Charter and follow
Well, and I was not allowed to post on timeshare cancellation information for over a year because I'm honest. They had every scam artist known to man, including the one that worked for that law firm, soliciting. And then I got a private message from the current admin, and he said, "I can't believe I've been asked to be an admin." And so basically the prisoners were running the jail, and he cleaned out all those bad people. And now whenever anybody posts anything, he does an automatic post saying that do not pay any money up front. It's not necessary. If you don't have the time to self-advocate, because it does take time, then, Sherida, Sheila, and I, we know law firms we can refer to. Dennis, do you have any closing comments about, how you found us and what your family's going through with all this?
Not too much. I mean, I think I felt like Sheila, I think it was, through Facebook is where I found Tarda. I guess I do have a question. As far as advertising on Tug, I mean, the odds that I will get rid of it, I'm thinking, are pretty close to zero. But what is the advantage to go ahead and listing it?
I think that if you list it on there, then you would be able to tell Vacation Village that you have tried to get rid of it.
Okay.
Like I told them the last time, 3 times I have tried. And
So you can talk
nobody-
back, you know, when they
Yeah.
say find a buyer, you can say, I
Right.
had this listed
I've
for a
tried.
year and nobody responded. And also, before we go, Tug said, sell my timeshare now or timeshares only. They never take their ads down. So they look like, you know, they're massive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like we are out of time, and I think our producer, I don't know how to what happens if I now post the end stream, but I really appreciate everybody being on here
Yeah.
today. The show has
Yes.
done so much for so many people.
Oh, I think here comes Mark. He's taking us down. But anybody can reach out to us. Okay, if you have a question, I'm the one with Exploria. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Great show. Right. Okay, working. Hold on. Yeah, it's having a moment.
It's having a moment. I have moments all the time.
It's
I thought women only had moments.
no, computers have moments too.
Yeah.
Computers have moments as
Men
well.
don't. Men don't.
And
Mark, come on.
man do as well. Man do as well. Man do as well. There's no doubt about
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Man do it. Yeah. So, yeah, hold on one second. I'll get in there and take everything
Okay.
down so that we all can.
Mark, are we still live?
He's trying to get us
You're
down.
still live. I'm trying to
Okay.
get us down.
He's trying to get us
It's live
down.
TV. We never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen on Timeshare Solution or Surrender, but it
Yeah.
always turns out okay in the end.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
he
another
was
great
just
show.
telling me they were having a moment.
So, Mark, are
Moment.
you unable to end the stream?
Hold on one second. I should be able to end it shortly. If you hold on one second. Oh, there we go. Yes, I can end the stream. I was just like I said, we were just having one of those moments. I just got to get
Yeah.
the end stream, and once we hit the end stream with y'all's lovely end video, because that'll
You
be
know,
the
you
outro.
have those
then we'll be on.
movies that end, and then they have the credits, and then they have some
Yeah.
things. That's
Right.
what we are today. We planned all this.
This is
Yeah.
all planned. But this is going to hit the end stream
Yeah.
and we'll see that end video. But no, another great discussion, some great advocacy. So I was thoroughly enjoying the conversation.
Thank you, Mark.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah.